Alrighty, guys, this is the Ramblin' Man podcast, episode 5. I am your host, Max, and I am here today with a special guest, my cousin from Miami, Florida, Sebastian Mattar, aka Cbas.
What's up, brother, cousin?
What's, what's going on?
I'm chilling, bro. I'm honored to be number 5 on your podcast. That was my junior year high school of volleyball. I was a bench warmer, but that was the peak of my volleyball career. Was my junior year, not my senior, and I was number 5. So I like to be. I love the fact this is episode 5.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Let's just hear a little bit about yourself first. Let us know what do you do? You have an interesting occupation, like what you do, what you like to do. Let me say.
So we'll start with we're cousins through my mom's side, where we're second cousins, right? Because I'm direct cousins with your dad.
Yeah.
And then you're his son, so we're like second cousins. But whatever, we're cousins in that manner from my mom's side of the family. That just in case people are wondering how we're family. And then, I'm from Miami, 26. I do stand-up comedy in Miami. And I am a server, or was. I don't even know anymore if I'm going to have my job after this. But I am a server at a restaurant in Miami. So, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. Comic, server life, the starving artist. So, yeah.
Not the most glamorous life in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, but now I'm good, man. I got glasses of wine. I got space. You never went over to my efficiency, right? No, you never.
Nah. We only went to your mom's house when we were over there a few years ago.
Yeah, that efficiency, bro, this is glamorous now. This is the glam life. Everything's up and up from now.
So my first question for you, being a comic, do you feel like that you like comedy or you identify with comedy because the way that our family is? Now, context to what I mean by that is, in our family, Cbas would agree with this, that it doesn't matter who you are in the family. You could be the oldest person, the youngest person. You will get roasted. You will get chopped. Do you feel like that plays a role in your choice of being a stand-up comic?
That's funny. I've never even thought of that being like a thing that probably had some form of an effect on it. Because not only like our family, as far as like when we're together, we're all like that. But more in specific, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, he's like that too. And he's always forced me to be witty. And that's the same thing I noticed that when I lived in Houston, that's what we did. Like we were all witty. You still have to be witty. So I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a direct influence as it is a trained muscle I've gotten over the years with the family, that it translates on stage sometimes because somebody will say something and, like the way we are with each other, we're quick. You have that same reflex when you're on stage. I don't know about now, honestly. Like I'm gonna be rusty. Like I'm super nervous to go back on stage. But yeah, I think I wouldn't say it necessarily would stem as an inspiration to be a comic, but I would say it definitely is part of my tools when I'm on stage as a comic.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like one thing I notice in our family is like, no, it doesn't matter who you are. You're hanging out with the fam. You're gonna get a little bit of heat, and you gotta be sharp. Either you can say something back and be quick with it, or you're just gonna get eaten alive.
Our family really do that to people though. Like even if you just there sitting with a plate, they're like, "Oh, you just gonna sit with your plate? Like that's it?" You're like, "I'm not doing anything. What? Why are you coming at me?"
It's funny because our family is like, we're really like loving in general.
Right.
But when people that are outsiders come in and they don't know how we are, normally it's like a really, a really big shock factor.
For sure.
So like we've seen people that we know that, you know, are family friends that come in and then they can't really stand the heat a little bit and then they end up a little butthurt. But I mean, it's just the way that we grew up. To me, it's like I am would never thought about being a stand-up comic or anything like that. But if one thing's for sure, I'm not afraid to embarrass myself. I'm not like scared like to do anything obnoxious just
Right, right.
because like I've been embarrassed my whole life. So, you
Right,
know,
right. It's like nothing at this point.
exactly. So, yeah. So what made you or what kind of drove you to try stand up in the first place?
I don't know. I think so. I've never really said this story, but this was like the first time I really did stand up was like it was 2014, I want to say it was. And my friend had messaged me. She was putting on a talent show in like the community college. And she's like, "Oh, I think you could do stand up." And this was like, I think it was November. It was right before my 21st birthday. I don't know why I've never told this story. I always use a different story as the first time I did stand up, but this was truly the first time I went. So long story short, the girl tells me like, "Yo, you should come do this." I'm like, "How long?" She's like, 10 minutes. I was like, "All right, cool." And I wrote something out and had a few friends go, and it was probably horrible. Like, honestly, it was probably really bad. But you know, you have a supportive crowd. They're like, "Yo, you did great." It was like my first time ever, but so whatever. That was November, and then I never did stand up again till I think it was April of 2015. So in April, I had gone on a cruise. I went on a cruise in March, end of March, saw the comics on the cruise. And then I was like, I went back to that time, like the few months back that I had done it in November. And I was like, damn, I had fun when I did that, whatever. Like, let me ask these guys. And I went up to them and I talked to them after the show and I asked them like, what should I do? And they were like, well, when you get back to Miami, like just Google open mics Miami. And that's exactly what I did. A few weeks after coming back from the cruise, um, I emailed the place, which is called. Can you hear me? Is the
Yeah, yeah,
mic
you're
good?
good.
Okay. It's a place called Artistic Vibes, and I messaged them, and that was like one of the first hits I saw, open mic, and I was like, hey, can I do stand up? And they're like, yeah. And I went, I did it, and uh, it was horrible. It was so bad. I have the 5 minutes on YouTube, and they're fucking horrendous. But I have it on private, like no one can see it but me. I wouldn't ever like. I'm not ready to release that content yet. I need a few more years to detach from it for you to see me and be like, wow. I feel like now you'd be like, oh, he's better, you know, but it's like, yeah, he's not. But no. So was that the question when
Yeah, what was the first time you did it?
what was
And
the
then
first time I did it? Yeah. So that's long story short. My two first times was like the talent show. I think you can do this. And I tried it, then never did it again for 5 months. And then boom, did it again seriously. So
and after you did, let's say the one at Artistic Vibes, what made you want to keep doing it?
um what made me want to keep doing it? Okay, so this is like I'm gonna give you like a two-part answer. So once I started doing it from that April of 2015 for in Artistic Vibes, I did it for a year straight, a year and change, up until June of 2016. So when I did it in that time, because then eventually what happened, the reason why I say that is because I took a break from comedy because I moved out on my own and I was just like, I need to pay bills. So I was focused on paying bills or whatever. And then I did another project, which I don't know if you remember Colada Time, but I did
Mm-hmm.
Colada Time for about a year and change. And then I got the stand-up bug again, listening to Joey and Rogan. And then your father had messaged me on a particular day. I told you about this, right? About what your dad messaged me.
Maybe not.
Me and your dad were every morning. Your dad would send me a devotion, and on this particular day, he had messaged me saying something. I don't remember verbatim what it was, but it was something along the lines of like humor being my key to success, pretty much. And the very night before, so he texted me like at 8 in the morning, probably like at 1 in the morning, I was up writing a new 5 minutes because I got the bug to go back on stage. And I kind of everything fell into place. So the first time I did stand up, I think I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was trying to be the funniest dude in the room. I was trying to just like I guess it was like the get rich quick mentality, or like, you know, I'm just going to be, you know, there's time. Like I didn't know the time and effort that you really had to put into this to really like, you know, get to, and I guess, you know, me being naive and immature and, you know, being in that different phase of my life and not knowing, you know, I had the wrong, not necessarily the wrong intentions, because I always enjoyed it. That's a fact. But maybe not the priorities were set a little different. Now with this one, like when I came back this time that I've pursued it, and I've been doing it for about going on like close to 2.5 years, I would say. No, like let's just say 2.5 years. Now doing it this time, it was a whole different thing. It was just kind of like, I was able to draw an analogy of sports a lot, like where I was like, all right, you know, like this is basketball. You get me? You got to go to the gym. You got to take your jump shots, and then you know, you're gonna have good moments. You're gonna have bad moments, and I just draw a lot of parallels from sports and comedy, and I just put a different perspective on it and a different intention. Like this is like, it's hard to think, but it's like, you know, 10 years deep. That's saying that you're really good. You're excessively good. And I think that why I pursue comedy still is because like, I feel like if I have to do something, I know I'm not athletic. I'm not going to be a pro athlete at 26 going on 27, you know, like 5'8", 160 pounds. Okay. Like, so I know my place. You get me? I'm not going to be the Harvard guy. I'm not the brains. I'm not the smartest guy. Yeah. Like I'm a bit knowledgeable, but I know I'm very ignorant. I do know where my wrongs are. So, you know, with everything that I have, I just feel like comedy and making people feel good has something that's kind of always been in my life through one form of another. So I just feel like this has been something that I'm going to continue to try to be funny and make fun of people and roast people and make faces and characters and voices. I'm going to always do that whether I'm on stage or not. You get me? Like the fact I have the microphone doesn't change anything of my personality. All I'm trying to do with the microphone is create a career with the microphone. But without it, I'm still just going to be doing the same things. I'm just saying, if you're going to be doing it, might as well get paid. Yeah. You know, I'm not afraid to say that either. I'm not afraid to say like, I want to live, you know, a wealthy lifestyle through comedy. But it's not on the priority list. It's more of like doing what I love. I learn about life a lot. Like I would take, just to put an example that's a little direct to both of us, is Alex's wedding. You know, part of the reason why I was able to go to Alex's wedding was because I won a comedy contest that was $100 that helped me pay for the flight. And it wasn't necessarily like like an 100 people room. It was like maybe 7 of us, maybe, you know, and we just had, bro, maybe it was 3 audience members. That was it. It was 7 comics, 3 audience members, and the comic on stage. And I just riffed. I didn't do any like written material. I riffed. I made the 3 people laugh, and then I ended up getting the money. But whatever, like I still use that as like, you know, God telling me, because I was like, if I get this money, I'm gonna go to Texas, because that's what I said. I said that in the morning. I said, if I get this money, I'm gonna go to Texas, and because Alex had just told me about the wedding. And yeah, bro, it happened. It came through. It worked. And, you know, that's one of many times that I felt like this communication with, like, you know, the universe, God, a higher power, something above me, whatever people want to relate or call it. It was like a communication with that. And it's happened to me multiple times to where I feel like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely like on the right path to what it is that I'm trying to pursue, you know?
Yeah. I find that it's comedy seems like it's like very unglorious in a lot of ways. I mean, if you really think about it in general, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Success is really an unglamorous road. and success looks different for everybody. Of course, some people get really rich and whatever, but really the main thing is that if it's something you truly find is something that you want to do and that you love, then you're going to put in the time to pursue that for however long it takes to be successful, whatever that looks like in your eyes. And for everybody's different. So yeah, I mean, you say 10 years. I mean, it could be any amount of years. Some people are lucky, some people aren't, but the journey looks different for everybody. But I had a question, but I forgot it.
Oh, well, we are in a
Well,
pickle deal.
so from there,
Right now, somebody offers you floor seat ticket, or not floor seat, sorry, front row tickets. What comic do you get to see? What comic are you going to go see? 2 tickets.
hands down, Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle?
Yes, sir.
I think that's a given, though. I think Dave Chappelle's a given. Let's take Dave Chappelle out.
You take Dave Chappelle out. It's weird because the type of comedy that I like now is just completely different than what I normally used to like. I was not really big into I liked sketch comedy. And the only stand-up comedy I really watched a lot of was mainly Chappelle, maybe like Chris Tucker, some stuff like that, George Lopez. But then, like, now that I'm older, I feel like once you see George Lopez, like, really once, you kind of like know what you're gonna get, which is why Chappelle's like in a league of his own, in my opinion. His show
Right.
his material's always evolving to never like similar to before. So now, man, that's a hard question. I don't know. The only person that I feel like I would really like to see right now,
It's
just
Dave.
Dave, but someone else that I would really like to see, just because I think that they're hilarious with the type of comedy that they have, is Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon. I actually have not heard his stand-up, but I heard him on Joey's podcast. I
Yeah,
heard the episode with him.
yeah, and just the way he is on like the podcast and stuff, I feel like in the show he'd be hilarious. Very sarcastic, very like kind of borderline messed up, but
Right.
I just find it hilarious just because like you can't take yourself too seriously, especially in stand-up comedy.
Right.
But okay, so this is a question I have for you, especially in the scene of comedy. Do you feel like, especially in Miami, because I listen to a lot of podcasts and, everywhere is kind of different. Do you feel like in Miami that there is a difference in the appeal of like people are too woke for certain jokes, or do you feel like that's prevalent in Miami or anything like that? Like,
What do you mean,
you need to be like PC, or you can't make jokes about certain things.
I mean, I'm gonna say yes is the safe answer, right? That's the answer we should say, and I think yeah, to a certain extent. But on the other hand, like not always. Like there's always gonna be sensitive people in the crowd, but certain rooms lend themselves to be more sensitive. For example, we have a room. Um, I don't want to throw nobody under a bus, but like, what room is? So like, all right, artistic vibes. Artistic vibes is like a very, I wouldn't say they're PC, but they are very like supportive, right? They're like a supportive crowd. Like, oh yeah, like everyone does good.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think there people might get offended with something said, right? And it's be it their crowd, be it their culture, whatever the case may be that they've done there. it's a type of room that you, from one comic talking to another comic, you'll be like, all right, man, like you don't want to use your dark shit here
Yeah.
because they might not get behind it. You know, they're going to rock with you. They're a great audience, but this is what, then you have other rooms like this one room that's a fucking, I mean, it's gotten better over the years for sure, but it's a dive bar. It's called Taurus. This place is rough, bro. This is like going to the lion's den, man. Like you will die up there for 8 minutes, like just in front of a drunk audience crowd and like just nasty people. People don't give a fuck. They're talking over you. They're at the bar. They're in the back talking loud. People in the front literally will watch you and just like talk to their friend right next to them. No problem. Like they don't care. And in that place, you can definitely push the envelope a lot. So short answer, yeah, we do have the PC thing here. Long answer is only in certain rooms. And also, again, a lot of the time it's like, you know, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could be saying the most fucked up thing out there, but if you're saying it funny and you literally have to give everyone no other option but to laugh for it to work.
Yeah.
It's when you leave that wiggle room of misinterpretation, of not sticking to the joke or something like that, that I mean, you might still get that one person that might not laugh, but like overall, yeah, you could even get away with it in those PC crowds. So
Yeah. I think it always comes down to, like, that's the whole thing with comedy in general, is being a master of the crowd. Really, you have to be able to win them over pretty quickly. And then from there, you know, you're taking them for a ride. But I mean, that's the tricky part. It's like the different dynamics, you know, you have people, you know. Oh, and I remember the question I was going to have for you.
Tremendous.
Do you feel like that you want to make people laugh and feel good because it's something that you needed in your life at some point, or that's something that comforted you, and you feel like that's one way that you could help people because it helped you in some kind of way?
I think I'm an attention whore. That's first and foremost. Like you cannot not like the attention. Like as much as you don't, you know, there's certain people who are like, I don't like the attention. Like Mitch Hedberg was one of those people that he wore the shades because he didn't want people looking at him. And the whole night, like, are there those cases? I'm not going to say that there's not. Absolutely. But more likely than not, people who are doing stand-up like attention. People who are doing anything where they're on a stage being viewed like attention. So I think it's like it's validation, right? Like that's one thing I've realized in this quarantine is like without laughter, I don't know if I'm funny, you know, like I don't know if I'm still funny or if my wittiness is still there or whatever. But it's like it's a form of validation. So in a way, it's like I'm doing it for myself, but like selfishly, yes, I'm doing it for myself. But yes, I definitely do appreciate making people laugh. Like I enjoy laughing with people. I don't know. Like it's something that I saw my dad do a lot, right? Like, you know, always with the health issues. And, you know, he was always laughing about shit. And I don't know. Like, I think it's been a thing that's been in my life in the background this whole time where like laughter is a key to something or being happy, a positive perspective, even like broader is more like a positive perspective. And I don't know. I just feel like with comedy, laughter is like a universal language, right? Like, you know, if you and a stranger that don't speak the same language, no, like at all, not Latin or no, there's no correlation. And you see someone fall, like doing something stupid, you're both gonna laugh. You feel me? Like, and you don't have to speak the same language to understand that.
Yeah, laughter is like a universal connection, like no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do definitely enjoy like giving people laughter and like making them feel good. I do. But at the same time, I definitely do it for myself as well. Where like there's a form of validation, there's a form of attention, or there's a form of something, you know. And I would never say like, oh, I honestly don't know why I like the attention. Maybe it's because I had the attention from when I was little, you know, like my parents. I was the youngest of 7. Everybody was older, so you know you're the baby of the family. Everyone's like, oh my God, the little baby. And you're always, you know, the baby. And like, I don't know, my parents raised me with manners. So I know that, people used to tell us all the time, like, oh, your sons are so, like me and my brothers, like your sons are so well behaved. So I don't know, maybe it's that. Maybe I was just so used to people being around me and stuff that I just felt that. Bro, but I definitely am an attention whore, like 100%, bro.
I don't, and I can relate a little bit. Not that it's made me, like, to this day feel like that I want to make people laugh, but when I was in middle school and high school, I always loved to make people laugh, even
Ooh,
if
this
I
boy
was.
was up and coming, boy. This boy was up and coming.
I would do the most ridiculous things. I would fake fall. I will never forget this story. It is, in hindsight, you do stupid shit,
Oh yeah.
and nowadays, like, would I take it back? No, because it makes me who I am. But in hindsight, I know it was disrespectful,
Oh
and I
God.
shouldn't have done it.
Oh
But,
wow. I like this.
but I had a teacher in high school, and she could never really control the class. So in that class, me and my friends, we would always just do whatever we wanted. We would be reading a book, and I would like throw the book and then just walk out of class. Everybody would look around like, what the hell? And then I would just walk around the school. But it wasn't to be mean. It was just because I could. Well, one day we're in a computer lab, and I tell one of my friends, I'm like, hey, record this. And I got on the floor on all fours like a gorilla, ran up to the teacher, barking like a dog. And everyone was laughing, and there was a video of it, and I just remember laughing to myself. Now, hindsight, my wife's a teacher now. If anybody did that to her, I would be pissed. But in the moment, like, I only did it because I thought it would be funny, and I knew that everybody else would laugh. I wish I had the
Holy
video of it, but I don't.
wow. You did all that to not have the video?
I didn't record it. Well, my friend recorded it, and then he moved away, and then I would always ask him for the video after that, and then he could never give it to me. So
Bro, this guy's gonna blackmail you so hard, bro. That is hilarious.
I can't remember. I mean, it wasn't always like that with every teacher. It just depended on what class I was
How
in.
far you could push the envelope with that person?
Exactly.
Yeah, I had
So
a teacher like that too, man. I used to throw my shoe into the squares and move them out the way with this kid named Connor. I
I
had
would.
ADD. He had ADHD, and together we made the Powerpuff Girls, bro. Like that shit was fucking. That shit was a fucking shitstorm for this old Jewish soul. Jesus Christ. I'm pretty sure she passed away. God rest her soul. If not, well, I hope she's well.
I mean, we used
Hope
to
she has a
do.
face mask on.
What else did we do? I mean, we did all kinds of stuff. I mean, I remember one time we made a teacher quit after the year that she was teaching, and Alex had her.
Damn.
Alex had her. I have an uncle. For the people listening or watching, I have an uncle, Alex, and he is 2 years older than me. So when we went to high school, we went to the same high school. So I had a lot of the same teachers, and I would tell them that I was his nephew, and they would just be like, "Oh my god."
There's
And
two of you.
the problem was it was always a death sentence for that teacher. And this one teacher, I had a bunch of friends in that class that were older than me. So we would always just mess with her because she was like a super uptight, like white lady.
Right.
And she would make us watch the announcements, and none of our other classes made us, but she would make us do it. So every day when the Pledge of Allegiance came on, I would stand up and hold my hand over my chest and be like, I pledge allegiance to the Soviet Russia, and like she would like get pissed. And then we had a friend who was Asian, and his real name, he would go by Tommy, but his real name was Luan. And we would always be like, Luan, I'll Luan you so hard. And like he wouldn't be offended. He would laugh about it, and we would say it all the time. And she would be like, what are you saying? Are you saying something inappropriate? And we were just messing with her, and she would always get pissed. And like I'm almost positive she quit after that year because like not only me, but all these other kids were bad too. But
Yeah, for sure. She sounds like a shitty teacher. Like
But man, I just remember we would do all kinds of stuff.
I had a teacher choke out a kid with his sweater one time. That was peak middle school. That's when I was in Memorial Parkway Junior High. I took I took tech ed my 8th grade year, and it was 5th period. So it was like that class right after lunch or right before lunch or something like. We didn't give a shit. We were like, we want to get out, and it was like a computer class pretty much.
Yeah.
And bro, one day we had this kid. His name's Zach Schroeder, and he's a husky white boy, and he would like do this like like bark, but it sounded like a real dog. And this teacher was like, I don't know, he must have been close to 70 years old, man. Old white guy, looks like he probably was in Vietnam at some point of his life. You know, like he was a hard dude. And every day, man, every day we do something to fuck with this guy. And every time the kid would bark, I would go, "Oh my God, there's a dog in here." And he would go, "No, there's not. There's no dog in here." So every day he do it. And finally, one day, he caught the kid who was doing it. And so it was like a weird, like it was like you came in through here, but then there was like desk lined up against the wall with computers drilled into the wall pretty much. And it was just a big open space in the middle, and that's where he would teach from. And he saw the kid that did it, and my friend thought he didn't see him. So he like does it and like turns straight to look this way, and he comes from behind and he grabs his hoodie and he chokes him. He pulls him back and like he's like, "That's not funny," or whatever. And we're all like, "What the fuck? Like this guy just fucking like choked this kid." And it was like maybe like a month or month and a half left of school, and we had a sub for like 2 whole weeks. I guess he got suspended.
Oh my
And then when
God.
he came back, he had to have a teacher assistant with him. He couldn't teach the class alone no more. Bro, that shit was hilarious. And his name was Mr. Woods. So we used to fuck with him. And we used to call him Coach Woods. And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm not no coach." We used to call him Dr. Woods. We ended up calling him Coach, Lieutenant Colonel, Doctor, Sir Knight, Mr. Woods. Bro, we tortured this poor bastard. I think he quit the next year. I think that was it. I think that was it for Mr. Woods, bro. He was done.
I give it to teachers, man. Teachers take a lot of shit, bro. Holy
Kids
shit.
suck, man. Kids suck.
I remember one more thing that I used to do was I would take my phone, and we weren't allowed to be on our phones. So what I would always do is mess with teachers is I would take my phone case off the back of it, and then I would act like I'm on my phone. And I'd be like, "Yeah, no, I'm in class. No, no, no." And then the teacher would be like, "Give me your phone." And I give him the case. And then they were like, "What the
Classic.
fuck?"
You got Houdini. What phone?
Oh, but yeah, I was liked attention too. But then at some point in high school, I just stopped caring about everything. So I was like, I just want to get out of here, move on with my life, do some other things. Once I left school, I didn't really like try to make a fool of myself. Till this day, I still don't mind embarrassing myself. I'll embarrass anybody around me. I'll make a fool of myself. I don't care. I'll trip in public on purpose just
My God,
because
you need a therapist.
I do.
Jesus Christ. I'll
Not
punch
like
a baby in the face. Punch
not
a
like
baby.
that. I would just like trip and then like I'm like, "Oh my
This man
gosh."
will Viva la Bam his dad. He will throw salami on his chest while he's sleeping at 4 a.m. with a camera in front of
Who
him.
was it? Who was Vito?
Don Vito.
Don Vito.
Tío Perón.
Don Vito.
Oh my
I
God.
still mess with
Tío Perón?
Tata all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how to get him riled up very easily. So
Yeah, bro. I do the same shit to my mom. They're easy. They're so easy to get mad, man.
it's just when people are easily triggered, it's just fun to do it.
It's fun
Why
to,
not?
yeah. I do that to my girl all the time. She hates me for it. Whatever.
How's it like being a dog dad?
It's cool being a dog owner. I wouldn't say I'm a dog dad. I mean, like to her, yeah, I'll be like, oh, go with your mom, or she'll say, go with your dad, or whatever. Like to her, but now, man, I remember I had this one guy ask. I was like, I used to work with him, and it'd been like maybe a year or two that I hadn't seen him, and I was like, yo, what's up, man? How's everything? How's your fiance? How's your dog? And he's like, oh, we're all good. Our daughter is fine. I was like, oh, did you just Oh my God, here we go. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't care. Like, people call my dog a he at times, and I don't even go like, oh, she's a she. I'm just like, yeah, you close enough,
It's good
like
enough.
50-50. So I'll just pretend I heard she. But yeah, no, it's different, bro. Like, this is the first pet I ever owned, and we're pretty thanks to her, like I would say we're going out a lot in the quarantine because I'm forced to walk her. We live in the apartment, so we walk at 8, about like 9 a.m. We'll walk again around 3 p.m., and then we'll walk again like around 8 o'clock. So we go out a few times a day, probably get like an hour's worth of walking in total. Go out there. It's fun, every morning she's excited to see me, so it kind of has me like something good to feel in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I'm like, hey, what's up? You excited? I'm excited. Yeah. So it makes the days go by probably like a little bit easier. So it's fun, man. It's fun. She's embarrassing. She's from the pound, and she's 3 years old, and she had a broken hip. Her hip was completely fucked up. And when we got her, we told the pound, like, hey, we don't want her if she needs surgery. And they're like, oh, no, she's good. She just took a spill here the other day. And she was super timid, very scared dog, came probably from an abused home. And we brought her home, and she kept limping, and we took her to a vet. One vet told us that it was like an ACL or no sé cuánto or whatever. And the next vet we took him to looked at her, and she was like, oh yeah, she has no muscle in that leg. Like, we didn't even notice this. This was like a month after having her. We didn't even notice that she had that, like, literally no muscle in that leg from how long she hadn't used it. So we did the surgery on her, fixed the leg. So we're walking, like, that's why we're walking her so much, is to like let that leg rebuild. And she had, like, I don't know how long it hasn't been since she hasn't used it, but you can just tell. And we didn't realize it at first because we don't really know what we're looking at. But then, so long story short, comes from the shelter, probably an abused background. So when she sees other dogs, she gets very aggressive. And she's a mutt. So she's not a big dog. Like, she's only like 25 pounds. So she's not a big dog, but she has a big dog's bark. Like, this bitch bark is violent.
So
Like,
is
it's
it like the dog that you were scared of a long time ago?
like Boots.
all, all the dogs. You were scared of all the dogs.
Bro, I got bit. Here's the thing, though. Like, I was traumatized from an early age. So, like, apparently my parents tell me this is where the whole trauma started. I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I forgot what friend of the family we were at, and they had a Rottweiler, and I was like trying to pet it, and I was fucking with it, and I guess the Rottweiler didn't want it, and it turned around and barked it. Like, it didn't bite me, but it barked in my face, and then I got scared. And they said that's where it happened. What I remember is the first time I got bit by a fucking dog. It was a German Shepherd. It didn't bite me to pieces or nothing like that. Like, it didn't bite me to kill me. It was more like to play. But in the moment, it freaked me the fuck out. I was 5 years old, and I was just like running like a kid. And that shit came out of nowhere. And I guess it thought we were playing, and it bit my arm. And I lost it, bro. I went running all around that backyard. My dad had to pick me up. Like, bro, I freaked out. Then after that, that's it. After that, I was afraid of fucking dogs forever. And I got chased by dogs on a bike. I got chased by a husky right by where I live. I got chased by a mutt somewhere in these streets over here. I've gotten chased by 3 or 4 different dogs on bikes. I got bit by Boots on my fucking toe. Bro, I mean, yeah. So this dog has a very scary bark, where I'm like, yo, like, you need to relax. And then the other day we were going down. She's a dog that, like, If you're not looking at her, she don't care. She'll see you. She'll just like look, observe you, and then keep walking, and just keep looking.
Mhm.
But if like another dog locks eyes with her and doesn't look away, she starts getting aggressive. She starts going crazy, and I'm just like, yo, I'm like, chill. You embarrass me. But I don't know. I think like so she acts aggressive, but then like the other day we were walking and a dog with no leash came up to her barking at her, and she kind of like she was barking, but she was like backing up. So I was like, oh, you're just fucking all bark. Like you're not gonna do shit to nobody.
I don't know. Dogs are weird. I mean, female dogs it's less prevalent, but a lot of times male dogs will be a little bit worse with aggression because it's territorial.
Right.
Like my dog Lazarus, he's great with people, but he's not good with other dogs, especially male dogs. He starts
Right.
getting like he feels like they're threatening him, they're bucking up. He's got to let him know, and he's not like the biggest dog. Which one time, did you ever see Winston?
I remember Winston. I mean, I never saw him.
But he's big.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen pictures and videos, so I know.
Blue
Never saw him.
pit, right? He's like stout. And then Lazarus is just a rescue dog mixed. And he's like a little bit scrawnier. We were watching Winston at our house for my parents. And they were playing outside. And Winston's not the most trained dog when it
Right.
comes to other dogs, like being social. So Lazarus and Winston were playing, and then it turned into not playing. And poor Lazarus just got pinned to the ground, and like he just got overpowered by Winston because he's such a big bastard. I mean, his mouth is like his jaw is like freaking huge,
Yeah.
and that was crazy. I had to separate them, and I was like, all right, Lazarus, you're never coming around any other dogs just because I can't trust them.
Right.
And then Winston, I was like, that's what my parents like. He shouldn't be social with other dogs because he doesn't know how, like, what it means, like, to back off or anything like that. It's like dogs are interesting because, like, if you don't socialize them, especially if they're males, like, they don't understand.
Right.
So a dog will warn them, like, to back off, and then they don't know what that means. They keep trying to play, and next thing you know, they're fighting just because
Yeah.
there's a loss of communication because they never learned. So I mean, like, that's one thing about dogs is a lot of times people blame the dogs. It's like, no, a lot of times it's at the owner's fault too, because they should know how their dog reacts with other
Right.
dogs and with people. Some dogs don't like people except their owner. Like, and you have to be responsible and know, like, hey,
Yeah. My dog definitely does not like getting pet by a stranger. If she doesn't approve you, she don't want you touching her.
yeah,
I tell everybody who comes in, ignore her. I'm like, ignore her. She ain't gonna do nothing to you. But like, if you try to pet her and she don't like it, she ain't with that. So just let her ease up to you. And usually, what she does is like when she like approves of you, if you're hanging out with your hands dangling or something, she'll put her snout right under your hand, like to signal, like scratch me. So I always tell people, just ignore her. As soon as she comes around to you, bro. The first time I went to see the dog, I saw four. I wanted to see four dogs that day, and the only one that was available and met all the requirements was her. So when I went to go set the playpen date, whatever, to see her, like 50 minutes went by before she even let me pet her. She walked around me, bro. I tried to throw the ball. She was looking at people, looking here, looking there. And like she walked around me, anytime I try to pet her, she would like kind of like, yo, relax, and like walk away fast. And yeah, then she let me pet her and we were cool. Stayed there for like 10, 15 minutes petting her. Then the next day I came back to the pound with my girlfriend because that day I forgot where she was, but I went to go meet her. Then the next day she like recognized me relatively quick and like came right to my side or whatever. And then my girl, when she did that, my girl was like, "Oh yeah, we're taking her. Like, I don't care." So yeah, bro. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like we're trying to, again, who knows where her past is. We're trying to socialize her with dogs and expose her to more dogs. And we're getting better at controlling when she like barks. Now she'll kind of bark less, but we kind of have to be on top of her. Like, hey, turn around. Hey, don't look.
Yeah.
Like tugging at her. And maybe she'll learn. I mean, she's smart. She's a smart dog. But
Yeah, they
I mean,
learn
it's
eventually. It just takes time. Dogs are really easy to train. You just have to kind of instill it in them first.
yeah,
The biggest thing is like, I mean, once they know like what no means, like a lot of times they'll already be scared, like to like do like you'd be like no, and then
yeah.
they'll be like, oh okay, he's not playing around, and they still respect you. It's all kind of more of like a respect thing. Um, but so when quarantine is over,
Right.
what's the first thing you do? I think you for sure need to get everything cleaned up here. You're starting to look like an old Asian man. You got the potato patch on the head.
Oh my God. This is starting to become Cuba here, and then this will be Miami right over here. So, fuck. Yeah, barbershop probably will be one of the first things. I'll probably do the whole gloves and mask until I can't, like till he can't cut my hair with a mask on. So I'll probably just hold it.
You guys have any news over there so far?
So far now I heard like Miami Beach is gonna extend, another. They're saying as far as like opening the beach back up in Miami might be as late as or as early. I'm sorry, as like May 14th or 15th. I don't know if that's true. These are like things I've heard. Nothing of my job. I haven't got no emails. I haven't got no messages from my boss. Um, yeah, I think Miami's gonna play conservative. I saw Illinois extended their quarantine till May 31st. Uh, so I don't know, but no, I haven't. I
Texas,
haven't.
baby. Texas.
Yeah, you guys. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but sure. I mean,
They want to open up. I mean, I don't really know how I feel about it. I
did
mean,
they? I thought they did already.
well, this week, I mean,
Oh, this Friday.
the first. The first is like phase one. It's like retail stores, theaters, and like some other stuff. Now there's new stuff floating around about a judge in a local county around here was like, based on what the governor said, everybody can open. They're kind of loose with their words. So I don't know. I feel like people are going to open up and just say, screw it.
I mean, people are gonna get sick, bro. Like the the thing is that if the goal is to flatten the curve, then you keep everyone in quarantine.
This is my thing. I've been going deep, right? I got a lot of time on my hands. I read a
Don't
lot
hit
of
me with this
stuff.
conspiracy shit.
It's not really about that. I don't want to
Oh,
go
here
deep.
we
I
go.
don't want to go deep in
Let's
those
go, Eddie
waters.
Bravo.
I don't want to go that deep. But my thing is like, I think the problem is no one really knows anything.
Yeah. I
I
agree
don't
with that.
I don't think people know that shutting down really is going to help. I think in theory, flattening the curve, yes. But generally I know that, they're saying that, oh, it's just more aggressive for older people. Yes, there's a lot of people at risk. I think the thing is though, like, what if it has been around longer than they think and it's just been floating around and we just haven't known about it? Like that's the thing is I don't think anybody really knows and I don't think anybody really understands. This is the thing is like being closed for as long as it has been, a lot of people, it's I get torn because being a small business owner, I also understand a little bit of this too, is because like people are like, you know well, why should I pay a membership at your gym or whatever? It's like, well, if you want us to stay open, we have to be able to still pay the rent. And then those
Right.
are the same people that if they would come and work out anyways, but they're complaining that they have to help keep businesses afloat. Like that makes no sense. So it's kind of like a fine line. Like what's the best solution, like because shutting down everything and having people not doing anything and not being able to work is not a solution. Just with the way that things are, it is the way it is. Ideally, the first couple of weeks, I thought to myself, it would be cool. And ideally, if we lived in some fantasy world, people just lived life and didn't rely on currency. Like they just did everything because that's like the way it went. Like if everything was simpler, you farmed food and you just traded shit. Like ultimately, that would be the simplest way, but it's not like that. We
Right.
live in a system where if you're not making money, it's going to be an issue. And like
Right.
there needs to be a flow of money for everything to be going. So it's a fine line. I'm not an advocate for saying that, I'm not saying that I think that, oh, we should just open up. I think there should be a well thought out plan. I think people that are at risk should stay home. And I don't know. I think that that's the thing is they don't know how the virus reacts. 1 week you're hearing, oh, but there's herd immunity, meaning basically the more that people are exposed to it, then the people build antibodies and then they're no longer affected by the virus. Well, if that's the case, then wouldn't, just taking care of people at higher risk and then letting people just go about life normally be the solution? And then they find a vaccine. Ideally, that's what you would think.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I just think there's not enough information to really know. And I think I think the quarantine is the most common sense solution, right? Where it's like limit the bottom line of the quarantine is just limit transmission of germs. Now, how do you do that? You stop, making people be close to one another. Um, like I work in the restaurant. One person gets sick in the restaurant, literally within 3 weeks, you'll have people coming in and out of colds. One's walking out of it, the other one's getting it. One gets it again after letting it go for a week, and it's just I see that. I understand why, like again, this is COVID has been around. That's why it's 19 because there's been 18 other forms of it. Um, they carbon trace the I don't know how, but they carbon traced the virus and they said it dates back to November of 2019. But honestly, like that's one thing I agree. Nobody really knows anything. Like I feel like everyone's just doing it on the fly. Cause like the other day I was like, why don't they just say like, yo, 6 months and that it is what it is. And, but again, the case could be made that, maybe when they said 2 weeks, they really thought like, okay, this is going to be handled in 2 weeks. So I just think it's like uncharted territory for everyone. This is unprecedented. They've never moved the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Like even when people were held hostage, they didn't stop the Olympic Games. Baseball has never stopped. Football has never stopped. Multi-billion-dollar companies are stopping, which never have stopped before. So this is all unprecedented. It's an unprecedented time in our country and in the world, in the whole world. Like not even the country, the whole world. And I just think that, given the options we have of like, yo, go out there, limit yourself. Like if people are saying this shit is serious as it is and it's taking people out, I have no problem staying home. I'm good.
I agree. It's just like I said, the channel of information is crazy. You see
And then
one
also,
thing,
but look at the time we're in too. Like everything's a news outlet. Everything.
yeah,
TikTok is a news
you don't
outlet.
know.
Instagram,
True.
Twitter. Everyone has an opinion. People have contradicting ideas. You can Google a debate for why vaccines are good, and you can Google a debate for why vaccines are bad, and have equal side. Like
Yeah.
literally, like they both make total sense. So it's just like it's the time we're in with the information and everything, and I'm just like, what sounds good to me? Really, like that's what it goes down to for me. Stay your ass at home and stay away from people. Like stay away from unnecessary business and like.
There's two other things that one I've been hearing about a little bit as of the past couple of days that is interesting is that this is going to cause more problem, more death. There's going to be more deaths from starvation because there's going to be a problem with food because of this.
Right.
So that is a big concern that I think people don't realize, because you're stopping production and you're causing a lot of problems. And it's not even necessarily here. We might experience a little bit, but think about countries that are like third world countries
Right.
where, it's different. The other thing I think about is, for a large part of the population, there's no such thing as quarantine. Honestly,
Right.
there's a lot of people out there that quarantine happened and they don't give a fuck. And they were working every day through this, finding jobs, doing anything they could because they needed to make money.
Right. Right.
So, like, it's just interesting. This is like such a bizarre situation. There's never going to be an option that's going to be ideal. The channel of information sucks in general because you don't know what's true. Everybody has an agenda they're pushing. I think ultimately we're in such a weird time that like people are really uninterested in finding solutions and more about pushing agendas and virtue signaling that, they're better, when ultimately the solution lies in compromise, which is why you have a lot of problems that we do now in politics, is because it's like a dick measuring contest. Like, oh, because, Donald Trump said this and that and he's so bad. Well, the Democrats is just as bad,
Right. But I
honestly.
mean, that's what it is, though. Like, that's always been the. I mean, like, that's why everyone says, like, at the end of the day, like that cliche saying that goes, oh, politics. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
the truth, man. It's just like people who need, it's business, right? Like, it's someone who needs a favor. So you do something for them so they can do something for you. And then they do something for somebody, but because they did that for somebody, they can't do what they wanted for you. So now you have to turn, and it's just fucking politics, bro. Like, it's just the way politics is. Politics is a very ugly game. And I mean, that's just where we're at right now, man. But I think this is low key. Like, I like to look at the good of things, and I just hope this makes people just act more like people, like humans. You know,
Yeah,
like
it's just weird. You say that. I'm like that too. I like to be positive, but no matter what, just
right,
because being negative isn't helping anybody. My thought process has always been, if you really want, like, if you always focus on the negatives, then you're going to have a negative life, or
yeah,
life is going to look negative, right? But if you focus on the positives, then you have a positive life. Things are going to go in a positive way because your mentality is different, and that applies to anything. And I agree. I would hope that out of this, people are more united. But even now, it's crazy because I was talking to somebody about this today. And I just feel like with the way that things are going, like, I am hopeful, but there, as of late, especially with the opening of the certain states, like, people's opinions are just crazy. Like, people like are ridiculing people, and like, some people are just want to get back to the ways of life, like, that's just the fact. And then they were like, well, you're risking people's lives. It's like, we're risking people's lives either way.
right,
I think one problem I have, I want people to be positive, but people easily write this off as the COVID-19 when people won't even recognize that the biggest killer of people is cancer, heart disease, and all these other
right,
things.
right. And yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. Like, I think the same thing, you know, like, we're really not, how many people died from cigarettes, how many people died from alcohol, all those things. And we're not out here banning any of that.
Yeah.
But the minute we start dropping some thousands of people because of a cold or because of a virus, we freak out about everything. But I don't know, bro. Could it be, it could be mass hysteria, you know, Um,
I
who
don't know. I
knows?
think that people have to look at the information we're getting. I think news is unreliable, especially the main outlets, because all you're getting is stuff that's like furthering an agenda. And, unfortunately, what you have is the left saying Trump is bad, and then you have the right saying that Trump is right no matter what, which is not good. Like, it's not helping anybody. So, I mean, I think ultimately, like, people need to be just listen to what you're hearing. Like, you shouldn't always be hearing things that are validating what you think is right. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's good to have a differing opinion to challenge you. Why not? Because you could be wrong, you know? Because next thing you know, scientists could say, hey, we don't have to be on quarantine. The best thing for us to do is, build up an immunity to this. The more exposure or whatever, who knows what it might be. And it counters everything that we thought. But then people are always write that off and be like, no, they just want blah, blah, blah to happen because whatever. And it's because they don't want to believe it because it's not something that they feel like is the truth because they've always believed otherwise.
Right. Right.
So I think that like one thing that can help people be more positive about the situation in general is just like be careful what channels you're listening to. If you're always hearing stuff that's a negative, you're gonna have a negative outlook.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. That's true. It's definitely like kind of going back. I was having a conversation with someone earlier where I was talking about like, I try to make sure that um, I listen to something positive or I read something positive or I see something positive like throughout my day because it's very easy to like kind of fall into other shit.
and I can attest to that as someone that likes to read about conspiracies. If you start reading too much conspiracies, you start
Yeah,
having a
nah, I'm
very
good. I went down that rabbit hole in high school and I'm good, bro. It's very easy to get caught up into, but it fuck that, man. I'd rather waste I'm not waste, but I'd rather put my time in watching a show on Netflix like Money Heist. Money Heist was great.
You've
Have you ever
watched
seen that
Ozark.
one? Nah, man, I couldn't get into Ozark. Everybody who's seen it and I tell them the reason why, they're all like, "Oh no, bro, you should keep watching it." It
Why?
just reminded me of Breaking Bad. It
It's
reminded me
so much better than Breaking Bad, in my opinion.
I don't know, bro. Breaking Bad is considered like one of the best shows in history of television, which I
I,
get. Like, it was like 6 seasons. It ended perfect. You couldn't
I
do anything more.
promise you, if you watch all the way through, you will think that Ozark's a strong contender.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I saw like 3 or 4 episodes, and I was just like, I can't get into this. And
Dude, especially when you get to season 2 and 3, it gets freaking wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I didn't. I
So what?
watched Money Heist is good.
I haven't seen that. What else did we watch? I watched that's good. The Sinner's good.
I started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb's good. I started from season 1, and we've been working our way through that.
Yeah, I think I'm in season 5 now.
Yeah, we're in
Started
season
at
5 or
season.
7, season 6. I can't remember which. But Larry's the best. Like, it's just so relatable. And like
I
he's
don't know.
such a,
I don't know how relatable it is. There are relatable moments, but I'm just like, oh, I'm glad I'm not that old Jewish grump that he is. Like, god damn.
it's just relatable because I feel like all the situations he's in, I could find myself in somehow, some way. Like
Of course,
personally.
for for sure. I feel that. I feel that.
um, what else? I don't know. I don't. I've been watching The Last Dance. That's for sure.
Oh, I don't have ESPN, so I'm waiting for Netflix. I gotta wait the 5 weeks. I've kind of ran into some like I wouldn't say spoilers, but I've ran into some like tidbits about what's being spoken on Twitter. Like I'll see what people talk about, but
It's
uh,
crazy because I've never been a big basketball fan, like a really big basketball fan. And watching it makes me really like, for one, I appreciate Michael Jordan because everything that I thought he was is not what I thought. Like, I mean, everything I thought he was isn't reality.
right,
Like, I've heard things about him, but like when I watched the Last Dance and I saw that like He didn't really party. He didn't do drugs or anything like that. He was strictly, I want to be the best, and that's it. I was like, this is the type of dude that I wish I like knew about younger as like a good role model.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I was like, dude, there's no questioning that he's the GOAT. Like,
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I heard Netflix is supposed to get it after all 10 episodes are released. So sometime after that, it will again, I'm just excited to watch. I mean, hell, I watched the 2013 Miami Heat documentary of like that season. The
I heard
season we
there's two other documentaries that they're working on. One is Kobe's last season. They're doing a documentary on
well,
that.
they're trying to. I'm sure they're gonna do it, but they have to. They're trying to figure out how to do it into a documentary. That's what I've heard. It's nothing official yet. They want to do it. It's a good idea, but they got to get a lot of clearance and stuff and
Then
things like that.
there was, I think Wade was saying that they were going to do one about the team, the USA
The
team.
the '08 the '08 team. That's when we went to Beijing, and that, bro, we were mopping countries like 40-point blowouts constantly. Like we were. Like now we have teams that'll like, give us a run for our money or whatever. Again, we also don't have the same athletes going out there. Some athletes are sitting out. But yeah, that '08 team was like prime Wade.
Which reminds me, you know what we should do? As next time whenever the fights are back, if we get Bobak on here because he likes watching MMA, we should do some commentary about some fights.
Oh, I'm horrible for that.
You are?
I'm so bad at that. I have a buddy of mine who actually is very surprisingly good at it. Like to the point that he'll say some things and then the announcer will say it after he's done saying it, where I'm like, wow. Like, and it hasn't happened once or twice. It's happened probably every time we watch a fight. It'll happen maybe twice, 3 times during the whole card.
But you like to watch it, right?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy watching it, but like I enjoy watching it with my boy specifically just because he knows so much about MMA. Like he knows a lot about the fighters, and then he also knows a lot about like fighting styles and stuff. And like he
Yeah.
doesn't fight, but he's like, "Oh, bro, this guy's about to do this. He's gonna put this in jeopardy for that." And then like literally the guy will say it, and I'm just like, "What the fuck?" Like, or like he'll be like, "Man, he has to stop doing that. He's eating them with this punch or whatever." And the guy will say it, and I'm just like, "Damn." So, I mean, I'm better at watching it than I am at all. Like, I don't know shit. Like, I don't really keep up with it. I enjoy watching it though. I definitely like UFC. I like watching MMA. I like watching boxing.
I mean, you're just good at commentating stuff anyway. So it's like, I feel like you would probably, if you got enough knowledge on it, you'd probably be good at it.
It's funny they say that because that's one of the things that I have been thinking about. Like now that, comedy potentially is out of the picture for the next few months. I probably, even if they open up tomorrow, I don't see myself doing comedy for maybe like, 3, 4 months, just to not expose myself to that shit. Because I mean, like in comedy, it's like 60 people certain nights, 70 people certain nights, in one tight ass room where
Yeah.
you literally have to like touch people to go to the bathroom. So it's just like, I'm already like 2 months rusty. What's the difference between 2 months and 6 months? Like, let me just play it safe. Like, don't do nothing unnecessary. And, comedy is not going nowhere. Comedy will be back. It may not be quick, but it'll definitely be back.
Yeah.
And so I forgot what it was that you had,
About you commentating.
commentate. So because of the whole thing going on with comedy and the uncertainty of it, I've thought about like what could I go back to school for? What could I do? And sportscasting was something I always was like, that was like one of my passions was sportscasting. And I was like, oh yeah, like why not? Look more into it, see what it's about.
Yeah.
But
why not?
We'll see. Who knows? Maybe. But I tried. I haven't. I'm lying. I haven't tried to do videos, but I've thought of the idea of doing funny commentating videos over things. But I see that there's people who already do it, and I'm just like, it doesn't come out natural to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm not gonna put nothing out that I feel forced or I feel like I have to try to make funny or things like that. I'm just like, But who knows? Who knows? I'm definitely like interested in it.
Yeah. That's something I would like to do. I just like watching and commentating on it. I think I have a pretty good knowledge of fighting, even though I don't have a background in it. Even though I'm
Right.
trying to starting to do some of it now, I do have like a lot of understanding of fighting and stuff like that. So like when I watch it, like I know what's playing out and who, you know, you know, like what should happen and what could happen. Who
Did you
has.
ever wrestle?
I did not. I wish I did.
Yeah, usually like they always say like football players wrestle. Like Ricky Williams was a wrestler. He had wrestled when he was in high school while he played football.
I did not. Alex told me that I should, and I never did. But in hindsight, I wish I did. But well, is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Um, how are you staying sane in all this? How are you coping with the quarantine?
I'm really like already been like a pretty homebody. I watch my daughter most of the day, but I mean, I don't really. I always think of myself as kind of like a reclusive person. I
Right.
I like being around family and stuff like that, and like being around people that I have relationship with, but I also don't mind being like secluded.
Right, right, right.
It
I hear you
doesn't
on
it
that. I hear
doesn't
you on
bother
that.
me or anything like that, and I mean, I live a very active life, so if I feel like I'm getting stuck in the house, I just go for a run, go outside, work out. I got plenty of stuff to do here. Um, I just keep myself busy. I start reading stuff, watch stuff, listen to music. I do a lot of walking right now. I take my daughter for a walk. I'll go no music and just embrace outside. I'll do music and just really listen to something that's going to help me think. Um, Same thing when I'm running. I like to use a lot of the times that I'm walking or running to like think. So
Right.
it doesn't bother me because I feel like I'm like getting clarity a little bit. So I don't know, it doesn't bother me too much. I do want to get back to work, but
Right.
just because like I miss having a routine and being able to like make myself productive. But at the same time, like this doesn't bother me that much. Not playing as much video games as you would think. So like even that, like I think that's one thing that's helped me a little bit is I'm not necessarily being like as lazy as or like a piece of shit as I would like to be. So for me it's kind of a good thing because I'm like staying active. I'm trying to like keep my mind in a positive atmosphere. Whereas I think a lot of times people, especially right now, are having a really lazy attitude. Um, and I was
Yeah.
also talking to somebody about this too. Is like developing habit is hard, and working out is really a habit. So people that are wanting to have some health benefits and changes in their health, you have to develop the habit of working out. I've been working
Yeah.
out every day in some form or fashion since I was a junior in high school. So for me, it's a habit. And if I don't do it in a few days, it bothers me
Right.
because it's a habit. I feel like I have to do it, not because like it's a chore, but because it's part of my sanity.
Right.
Um, so the same thing is for laziness. I think right now, a lot of people are using this opportunity to develop the habit of being lazy without realizing it.
Right.
So you would think that whenever things go back to normal, whatever that looks like, or try to, you would think people have this mentality of, all right, I might go to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, because you have to develop that habit again. And they are used to sitting on the couch, watching Netflix all day, dicking around, getting on Facebook and not being productive by talking a lot of shit, and it's just developing this unhealthy habit of being lazy.
Right.
So for me, it's different because I've been trying to be more productive in a way, starting the podcast, reading about stuff, listening to podcasts and, trying to like learn, meditate a little bit, work on my health without having distractions and stuff like that. So for me, it
Right.
hasn't been a big obstacle. It's kind of been a good thing. It's like a well-needed break almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely hear you on that.
And I think a
For
lot of
sure.
people just need to use this as an opportunity to refocus.
I mean, that's what I've been telling people. I'm just like, look, man, no matter how long it is, whether it's 2 months or 2 years or whatever the case may be for quarantine, it's gonna be, excuse me, a certain amount of time, and that certain amount of time is gonna pass whether you want it or not, and it's only gonna pass by day. So you might as well just take advantage of what you can right now. Um, be happy with what you got and do what you got to do. Like just try to stay as like I mean I've definitely gained discipline in certain or like I've exchanged a discipline. So like the discipline I implemented to the gym, I've done it somewhere else. Maybe like I'm not working out as I normally would be, but other things, and yeah, I mean it definitely the opportunity of being lazy presents itself here, but I don't know. I think America needs a break. Like everybody was going crazy. Everybody was trying to, and it's just like a wake up call to everybody. To reevaluate your life. Like use this time to learn about yourself, um, to do something good for yourself. I've caught up on videos I wanted to watch or movies or things I've wanted to do. I've definitely caught up on a few of those sort of things. So it hasn't been like a complete, downfall. But people got to look for what can they make of this. You have to look for the opportunity. You can't just be like, oh well, this is nothing, like no. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I feel you.
the saying that's been on my mind a lot is just like people fail to realize that time is a commodity that you never get back.
Right.
With that being said, time waits on no one. So
Right.
it's always going to go by, whether you like it or not. How you choose to spend it is up to you.
Right. Right. That's exactly what it goes down to. So I just have a good perspective. I'm trying to do things I didn't do before, and I'm catching up on things I've been meaning to catch up on. And at the same time, I'm also enjoying it too. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely enjoying it too. So I'm just, rolling with the punches.
All right. Well, it's
All
good.
right,
It's good to
bro.
talk to you.
Likewise, man. This was
Those
fun.
those of you that are listening on any platforms on YouTube, go ahead and give us a follow, subscribe, like, comment, give us some feedback, some topics to talk about on the solo podcast, and just keep watching along with us. Thank you for being here.